just said, have you had a haircut?
And no, you said, have you had a hair transplant?
Because it looks like you have, and he's admitted he's had 2, ladies and gentlemen.
I have.
One in Harley Street, and then he went to Greece, the cheap git, and that's it.
And some might even say it
£9
worked.
grand haircut, that's a £9 haircut.
Does it? Can you have it cut?
Point? Yes, of course.
But how?
It's not like a piece of AstroTurf, is it?
I don't know. What is it then?
So it's hair.
So it's a light.
So it's from. I'll show you the pictures if you want.
Where did they get it from?
Well, not from there, but from there, from the back of my head.
So they took it from. Anyway, I don't know what we did. Anyway, so would you ever have a hair transplant? You don't need
I
one.
probably would if I needed one, but I don't.
I think the bald.
A lot of people actually.
Why didn't you want to be bald? You'd have been funny bald, wouldn't you?
Bored because I looked about 75. I looked like Yoda. That's why.
That's brilliant. I don't know where to start. I do. Hello to Andy from Thatcham. David Lammy is the biggest threat to the world, not just climate change. The guy fits into this cabinet perfectly, as he's an utter clown. Andy, you were very honest last week about winter fuel. Seriously. Quote, our Foreign Secretary has said that climate change is a more pervasive and fundamental threat than terrorism. This is on the day that 2,800 Hezbollah supporters or soldiers, terrorists, have been injured. Their walkie-talkies exploded. This is at a time when Russia and China and Iran, who sponsor terrorist organisations like Hamas and the Houthis, and this is a real powder keg. And our Foreign Secretary thinks that greenhouse gas emissions are more important. The man's an idiot. An idiot.
Well, firstly, I think people on the right
Andy,
need
please
to
defend him.
Go on.
People on the right firstly need to make up their minds about whether David Lammy is a sophisticated genius who's so clever that he's going to cause World War III, or if he's a moron and therefore can't get anything done.
What do you think?
Well, neither. Surprisingly, somewhere in the middle. No, I mean, look, I actually think David Lammy is a perfectly decent Foreign Secretary. Don't laugh. Don't laugh. I do. And when
I'm going for a hair transplant back in Trent.
And he's doing the comedy today.
Yeah. This is the funny bit. Hey, roll up, Andy Williams is on.
No. Look, not for the first time. I don't think he's articulated himself brilliantly. But what he's trying to make a point not about terrorism, but about climate change. And he's making a valid
to terrorism.
Yeah, he did, but he's making a valid point, which is that as a long-term threat, it is a significant long-term threat.
But it's not more of a threat than people being blown up in 7/7, 9/11, Manchester Arena bombings.
Well, it doesn't feel
being stabbed on London Bridge.
It doesn't feel like
9/11.
it because it's not
quite the same thing.
No.
It doesn't feel like it because it's not as devastating. But it's not, you're comparing apples with oranges.
But
4 million people have died as a result of climate change since 2000.
They have.
Well, that's what the UN says.
But the UN.
Russell Quirk versus the UN.
Bastions of information integrity. Seriously, United Nations.
All right, I'll do another way because I think he's barking mad, and I think that the world needs to wise up. Well, I think this country needs to wise up, and I've said it along. We'll all have different opinions. I think this country needs to wise up to average men and women, working men and women, do not like what's going on, and this is another example because their lives are really goddamn hard.
Yeah.
And when they see threats to their security, people being dragged, stabbed in the streets, when they hear about wars and stuff like that, do they really care about gas emissions? I mean, your government's had to backtrack on electric cars already. It's ideology. By the way, Boris Johnson was the same. I thought I was a massive fan, and then he started going on about that. Well, shut up!
This is why I say it's clumsy language, because it's not either or, it's both. It's actually correct to say terrorism.
In His Majesty's government know better how to articulate his point.
Yeah,
rather than being
have you ever seen his mastermind performance?
I watched it again this morning. It's absolutely hilarious.
It's hilarious.
Basically got nothing right at all. I'm surprised he got his name right.
Well, you got it wrong. He said David Jammy, didn't I?
We did say that Henry the Seventh followed Henry the Eighth or something.
No, he didn't. He said Henry the Seventh had 8 wives. It was honestly. But I mean, honestly, you guys work in politics. I'm increasingly meeting these politicians, and you do not get the sense.
It's underwhelming.
I'm not being rude. An aura. Like, think broadcasting. My broadcasting hero forever was Chris Evans. He's got an absolute bloody aura about him. One of the greatest ever on the radio, OK? Parkinson on the telly. David Lammy? Up against Israeli, or I don't know. I mean, really?
In his cheap Asda trainers in Washington to meet Joseph Biden. That was another faux pas, wasn't it?
Well, hang on.
Did he wear trainers?
He wore trainers
off
Washington, D.C. It's a picture of him walking across
walking off the flight.
Yeah. But no,
so he's been on a flight.
I mean, the dichotomy between that and his boss, who then has to take thousands of pounds from a third party to dress his wife.
Well, they're lovely seats, lovely dresses.
Yeah, I want to talk to you. I want to talk to you about that because we talked about the winter. Anyway, to actually finish with Lammy, what do you make of David Lammy, Russ?
I think he's the biggest clown that politics has seen for a long, long time. I think it's the new dynamic.
Worse than Ed Miliband?
Oh, of course, yeah. I mean, look, that's a high bar. That is a high bar.
Ed Miliband's dangerous.
No, Miliband's dangerous with his silly green ideology. But Lammy, let's not forget, is the Foreign Secretary. This is the man that we wind up and we let him go off to kind of deal with things like Ukraine, Gaza, and so on. And the man's an idiot.
Is it true that within the Labour Party there were rumours that he wasn't going to get the job because they don't rate him? What's the Scottish guy who got back in at the last election?
Douglas Alexander.
I think he'll be the next Foreign Secretary.
There were rumours about that, and there were rumours about... Because there's always rumours about David Miliband, and if I never see David Miliband again, it'll be too soon. And then
why?
Because he's... Because,
so I'm going to say something that I never thought I'd say on this channel. That was the biggest mistake the Labour Party ever made. David Miliband was like Blair. He'd have taken... Yes, he's a conviction politician.
It's revisionist history. Actually, at the time, the last thing people wanted was a continuity Blair and Brown person, and that's why Ed Miliband won, not David. Now, I'm not saying that was the right thing to do, because clearly Ed Miliband was never going to become Prime Minister.
And then eventually the consequence of that was Jeremy Corbyn.
Well, that was an absolute disaster.
And the consequence of Corbyn is the man is more socialist than all the people you've mentioned, which is Keir Starmer.
Yeah, he's to the left of Corbyn.
He's not... Well, he's absolutely not to the left of Corbyn. You don't even believe that.
I'm not even smiling as I say it.
Yes, you are. And he's also not to the left of Ed Miliband, by the way. Ed Miliband's a long way to the left of Keir Starmer.
No, but Ed Miliband, I don't know what he is. He's just lost the plot. He is a sixth-form ideologue, isn't he, that swallowed some kind of green credentials dictionary.
He looks like he should be on the in-betweeners. He couldn't eat a sandwich. Anyway, can we get back to the thing? Right, so David Lammy, I'm very, very strong on that. Let's just talk about this look, though. I mean, it is quite important. We've got to talk about it. So you admitted last time you were here that the winter fuel payments is a terrible, terrible look. And then they're not sure whether they...
No, but I said I agree with the policy.
How?
Because I said I broadly agree with the policy. Because
your party's assumption that anybody who's retired or anybody that sends their kids to private school is minted is rubbish.
That's not the assumption. According to Age UK, who are running the campaign against these changes, right?
Yeah.
80% of people who are in receipt of the winter fuel allowance, or who were last year, will not be adversely affected by this change.
Well, only if they apply for pension credit, which is a 200 question...
And the
243 questions. Yeah. How many old people are computer literate?
How many on the internet?
Uptake of that has gone up substantially, and the government is working to get more people...
Let's extend your argument then. So on the basis that no one's really going to be affected by it, why have the policy?
Yep.
Why go through the pain and the misjudgment and the bad optics as a party of taking away the 300 quid from 10 million people, when actually the net effect is going to be... They're all going to apply for a different thing, and it's all going to be net neutral. What's the point in going through this trauma?
So what I said was, I do think the optics and the comms are really bad. I think it's been positioned badly. I don't think they've made the right argument.
But also at that moment, sorry, one second, at that moment, and then they can't say whether they're going to lose discount on pensioners, councillors, but then at that moment, and I put this to you as I put to somebody yesterday, the leader of your party and our Prime Minister gets paid £165,000 a year. It is on record that his wife earns £100,000 a year. He lives in splendour, rent-free in London, and he has a massive pension from being the Director of Public Prosecutions. Yep. Can you honestly tell me, as an advocate of a party who spent months, I get this, by the way, talking about Tory cronyism and jobs to the boys and the girls and freebies, do you honestly tell me that taking 25 grand to buy suits and gloves... Do you not think that Beryl in Rochdale's going, are you taking the PISS out of me, Keir Starmer, because I'm struggling here and you're a millionaire? That's terrible.
Yeah.
Again, optics doesn't look rubbish.
But I think 10 weeks it's one thing after the other.
It hasn't been a great 5 weeks. The second half of the 12 weeks has been rubbish, man.
Just respond to two things very quickly.
Yep.
So on the winter fuel, the problem that a lot of people are having is with how you positioned it, Russell, which is wrong, which is saying that 10 million people are having 300 quid taken away. Not true.
We're talking about they are. 10 million are losing the winter fuel allowance. 10 million are
No. 10.8 million people were in receipt of it.
Yeah.
It's going to be means tested. So
they're not getting it if they don't fill in a form.
Well, yeah, but...
So I'm right, not wrong.
No, it's not.
But they're not getting it if they don't fill in the form.
Correct.
There you go.
But lots
so 10 million aren't getting it?
No, because lots more than 800,000 people already have, and lots more are going to, because that's part of the plan to make sure that it's means tested properly.
But how dumb is this, that the government are going to take it away? Bearing in mind Gordon Brown introduced it, Labour Prime Minister, he actually was Chancellor at the time, 1996.
Very different times.
What, pensioners were a bit cooler back then? Are they warmer now?
Well, we've had the triple lock since then, which has meant that
which is not a Labour thing. The Conservatives had that almost through their entirety of their tenure.
I completely disagree with the triple lock. I think it's ludicrous.
Do you want to take that away from pensioners too?
Yes, I absolutely would.
God, thank goodness he's not the Chancellor or the Energy Secretary.
Because in April, pensioners... So actually, here's the thing, right? Let's see what your listeners think about...
You sure you want to dig this whole deep out?
Yeah, I am going to. In April... if every pensioner lost their 300 quid, which, by the way, it's only 300 for every 18...
You're going to say 480 quid now, aren't you?
460.
Over 2 years. Over 2 years.
So every pensioner from April will be £160 net up from April.
No, but
so
it would have been even...
Is that a year or a week?
A year.
Hang on, Andy, they would be much better off. No, they'd be much better off anyway because of the increase in the state pension. They would have been even better off if Labour hadn't taken away the 300 quid. Are your grandparents still alive?
One of them is just about, yeah.
Wow, fingers crossed.
No, but, oh, come on. I mean, really, I'm making a slightly facetious point, but the point is that everybody's saying
you're giving me a distinct impression you don't like pensioners in the Labour Party.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
You don't like old people because they won't be around to vote for you at the next election.
I'm
just pointing it out.
It's got nothing to do with that.
We're back. We're back. No, Andy Williams is very good. We're back with the pension hater. I'm joking. Andy Williams, the only... Listen, he's a good man. He comes on here and he gives it, and that's really important. Just very quickly, though, this is from Jane. Could you tell that prat defending Lammy, right? I've only just heard what he said. Perhaps they could help the climate by stop flying around the bleeding world on private jets.
It's a stupid argument.
He's really on one today. Don't go anywhere. Andy Williams has got it right on him. We're coming back in 3. Wow.